My fiancée ascended to godhood after we died, so I dragged her new husband into hell and burned the entire heavenly sect to ash. We died on the same blood-soaked battlefield. I thought that was the end of our story. Turns out it was only the beginning of my revenge. We fell together in the final siege of Blackthorn Pass. I took a spear through the chest holding the line so the refugees could escape. She took an arrow to the throat somewhere in the smoke. In my last breath I smiled because I believed we'd meet again in the next life, hand in hand like we swore. Instead I woke up kneeling on clouds in the hall of eternal judgment, chains of divine light around my wrists, while glowing officials argued over my karmic residue. At the top of the golden stairs stood the woman I loved. No longer mortal, no longer mine. She was a full goddess now, radiant, untouchable, wings of starlight unfurled. Her mortal life had been nothing but a trial run. A costume. And I was the loose end she decided to drag up, out of lingering affection. They made me an earth immortal, lowest rung, eternal servant. Welcome to heaven. Her new husband, Lord Vesper Kane, arrogant highborn prick with a face carved from marble and a soul made of entitlement, hated me on sight. I was the mortal stain on his perfect goddess wife's past. Every time he saw me sweeping the celestial gardens or hauling spirit wine for banquets, his eyes promised pain. So I gave him exactly what he wanted. At first, I smiled, bowed, and started unlocking the darkness they never saw coming. Every insult, every stolen merit pill, every public humiliation poured fuel on the fire inside me. Bitterness became chi. Rage became power. While the heavenly nobles cultivated light and purity, I cultivated the opposite, devouring stray demonic fragments from border skirmishes, carving forbidden runes into my own bones at night, turning every drop of their contempt into raw, black demonic cultivation. The pranks began small. Vesper's priceless phoenix spirit beast suddenly molted mid-flight during a parade, shitting molten feathers all over his ceremonial robes in front of the entire court. He raged for days. I was the one who cleaned the mess, whistling. Next came the banquet. His favorite longevity wine turned to vinegar the second it touched his lips. His golden chopsticks fused to his fingers with illusion fire that only he could see. He screamed and flailed like a clown while the goddess watched, embarrassed. I stood in the corner, eyes glowing faintly black, and bowed deeper. He escalated. I escalated harder. I swapped his prized divine armor with a cursed replica that made him trip and faceplant during a tournament. I whispered demonic suggestions into his dreams, so he woke up screaming my name in front of her. I carved tiny runes into his favorite sword that made it sing embarrassing mortal drinking songs every time he tried to look cool. Each time he came for me, I took the beating like a good little servant, then used the fresh blood and pain to push my demonic core deeper. Stronger. Hungrier. The final prank was perfection. During a grand border inspection, I lured Vesper alone to the edge of the abyssal well, the pit where corrupted immortals were thrown to dissolve forever. He thought he was dragging me there for execution. I let him. When he raised his hand to strike the final blow, I smiled for the first time in years. Real. Wide. Hungry. I grabbed his wrist, flooded his meridians with concentrated demonic chi, and flipped him over the edge like trash. His scream was beautiful as he plummeted into the black maw. Then I jumped in after him. Voluntarily. Hell didn't break me. It fed me. Time down there meant nothing. I hunted ancient demons, drank their essence, fused their bones into my armor, and turned their screams into my cultivation fuel. Vesper lasted 3 days before I found him, broken, begging, half-melted. I kept him alive just long enough to watch me absorb everything the abyss had to offer. Every evil thought, every corrupted law, every forbidden power the heavens feared. I became something the immortal realm had no name for. A demon sovereign reborn. I climbed out of the pit exactly 37 days later. The border guards didn't even have time to scream. I marched straight into the heart of the heavenly sect while they were still celebrating my final disappearance. Banners flying, music playing, Vesper's empty throne waiting for his return. The goddess saw me first. Her perfect face went pale. I didn't speak. I just smiled the same smile I gave her husband before I dropped him. Then I started the real show. I shattered the grand suppression array with one fist. The sky cracked open like glass. Demons I had bound in the abyss poured out behind me like a black tide. I dragged Vesper, still alive, still screaming, out of a portal and nailed him to the central pillar with his own broken sword. Demonic flames crawled over him, replaying every humiliation he'd ever given me in vivid, endless loops while the entire court watched. The nobles tried to fight. I tore their divine bodies apart and fed their golden cores to my new pets. The goddess attacked me with starlight and judgment. I caught her holy spear mid-strike, snapped it over my knee, and backhanded her across the hall so hard her crown shattered. She hit the wall and slid down, staring at me like I was the monster she always feared I'd become. Good. I walked through the collapsing palace, stepping over broken immortals, and stopped in front of the old tree immortal who once told me to endure. I offered him my hand. He took it. The abandoned, the servants, the earth immortals who had been treated like dirt, they all stood behind me now. Vesper begged for mercy in front of everyone. I laughed, ripped the last of his divine essence out through his eyes, and dropped his empty shell into the abyss for good. The goddess crawled toward me, tears mixing with blood, whispering old promises from our mortal life. I looked down at her and spoke for the first time since my return. You dragged me into heaven to humiliate me. I dragged your entire world into hell to repay the favor. Then I turned and walked away as the heavenly sect burned behind me in black and crimson flames. I didn't take the throne. I didn't need it. I took their fear. I took their ruin. And I took my freedom. Some people ascend to godhood. I descended to something far worse. And the heavens will never forget the day a discarded mortal made them regret it. When they throw you away and call it fate, don't beg for mercy. Build something darker. Smile while you do it. Then come back and make the bastards wish they'd left you dead the first time.